Ever had an HOA Karen send fake cops to your doorstep waving fines like a bad Yelp review? Meet Serenity Estates goon squad strutting onto my ranch like they own the county. I'm Wyatt Cole, 38, third-generation rancher, running a 50-acre spread. That's been coal land since my granddad herded cattle. Picture me boots, dusty overalls faded, tending cows and crops on a ranch that's a kid's storybook. Dream green fields, red barn, goats bleating. Serenity Estates, a glitzy new subdivision sprouted next door. Their McMansions flashing pools and egos. Their HOA cops claimed my mooing cows broke their bylaws, demanding $4,000 in fines. What they didn't know. My ranch isn't in their HOA, my deed's ironclad, and I've got a bone to pick with their fake badges. I've wrangled steers through blizzards. But Serenity's gall was a new beast. It was a crisp fall morning. The ranch humming cows, grazing chickens, clucking, my tractor purring. My spread sits just outside Serenity's boundary, a fact carved in county records since 1920. Serenity's homes with their fake stone facades and infinity pools scream. Look at me while my ranch whispers family legacy. I was hauling hay bales when two suits strutted up their polished shoes sinking in mud. They flashed HOA enforcement badges, plastic like Halloween props, and handed me a fine letter, thicker than my vet's bill. The leader. Greg Vance, 40s paunchy with a slick comb-over, smirked like he owned my barn. Mr. Cole, you're violating Serenity Estates bylaws, he barked, voice loud enough to spook my goats. Livestock smell, noise, disturbances, unsightly tractor routes, fines total, $4,000. Pay up or we'll escalate. I blinked, wiping sweat. Escalate, this ranch ain't in your HOA. My deed says I'm clear of Serenity's line. Greg's partner, Tina Morse, 30s, wiry with a clipboard and a sneer cut in. Our bylaws cover adjacent properties causing nuisance. Your cows stink. Your goats scream. Fix it or we seize the animals. Seize, my blood boiled. I've raised these critters. Betsy the cow. Mabel, the goat like kin. I opened my mouth, but Greg talked over me, citing visual pollution. I'm a rancher, not a lawyer, but I know trespassing when I see it. Wait, I hollered, voice carrying like a cattle call. Show me your jurisdiction. My land's outside your map. Check the county. Greg scoffed. We don't make mistakes. Pay or we'll patrol daily. They turned to leave, Tina's heels snagging on a root. I yelled, touch my animals and you'll regret it. They didn't flinch, just drove off in a shiny SUV, leaving me with a fine letter that smelled of ink and arrogance. I stormed to my barn, grabbing my deed from a lockbox. Clear as day. Cole Ranch, 50 acres, no. HOA ties. Serenity's boundary stopped 100 feet from my fence. I called my cousin Lena Holt, a property clerk at the county. Wyatt, Serenity's been pulling this, she said, voice sharp. They find a neighbor for unapproved trees outside their line. Get a survey, your deed, and a lawyer, Lena emailed me. Serenity's 2023 HOA map, my ranch was clear, but their nuisance zone sketchily overlapped my pasture. I checked my barn camera, a grainy feed I used to monitor calves. It caught Greg and Tina snooping yesterday, measuring my fence line, muttering about development potential. Development my ranch. I saved the clip, my gut churning. Serenity wasn't just fining me, they were eyeing my land. I called my farmhand, Javier Ruiz. 20s, tough as barbed wire. Boss, those suits spooked the hands, he said. Told us we'd be fined for working here. Javier's loyal, but I was livid. Serenity was harassing my crew. I stood by my gate, deed in hand, cows mooing. Greg and Tina thought they'd bully a rancher, but I've faced coyotes meaner than them. My camera was rolling my lawyer on speed dial, and Serenity's fake cops were about to learn mess with a Cole. You get the horns, y'all. Serenity's HOA, empire's wobbling, and I'm just revving up smash that. Like if you've faced fake cops or HOA, Karens, drop your town in the comments where you watching from. Let's see this spark fly. Serenity Estates' HOA cops thought they'd rope me with a $4,000 fine for my mooing cows. But Wyatt Cole's been dodging bigger snakes on this ranch. Greg Vance and Tina Morse, with their plastic badges and muddy shoes, trespassed on my 50-acre spread, claiming my goat spleets broke their bylaws. My deed clear as a summer sky says. Cole Ranch ain't in their HOA, and my barn camera caught them scheming about development. I stood by my red barn boots, planted Serenity's McMansions glinting across the fence. Their daily patrols were poking my herd. But I had a deed, a clip, and a temper, hotter than a branding iron. The morning after their stunt, I was checking Betsy the cow's hoof, when Javier Ruiz, my lead farmhand, jogged up his wiry frame. Tense. Javier, 20s, tough as mesquite, had sweat streaking his tan face. "Boss, those suits are back," he said, pointing to the pasture. "Told me I'd be fined for working here. Said I'd never get another job." My jaw tightened, harassing my crew. That's a low even coyotes don't stoop to. I grabbed my deed and stormed out, finding Greg and Tina by my hayfield. Greg's paunch straining his suit, Tina's clipboard snapping like a whip. "Mr. Cole," Greg sneered, "comb over flapping your tractors, a disturbance restricted on this path. Add $500 to your fines." Tina, eyes sharp, scribbled another citation, her ponytail bouncing. "Your barn's an eyesore too. Fix it or we'll escalate." "Escalate," I barked, waving my deed. "This ranch ain't yours. County line's 100 feet that way. Check your own map." Greg scoffed. "Our bylaws cover nuisances. Your animals stink up Serenity," I tried explaining. "Cows moo, goats bleat." But Tina cut in. "Pay or we'll seize livestock." Seize. "Betsy Mabel, I'd sooner arm my chickens," I called Lena Holt, my county clerk cousin, at lunch. "Wyatt Serenity's been fining non-members," she said, voice crisp. "Their 2D23 maps fishy, overlaps your pasture. Get a land survey and a lawyer. I'll send the county's 1920 plat." Lena's email pinged. The original plat showed my ranch free and clear, but Serenity's map claimed a slice of my grazing land. Shady next day, Greg and Tina were back patrolling my fence like vultures. Javier caught them snapping photos of my tractor path, muttering about resident complaints. I checked my barn camera, another clip. Greg measuring my gate. Tina saying, "Once he's out, this'd be prime condo land condos." On my ranch, I saved the footage, my blood simmering. I called Javier over his boots, kicking dust. "They're scaring the hands," he said. Told Miguel he'd be deported if he stayed. Miguel, 19, a kid with a green card, was shook. I was done. I grabbed my deed, the 1920 plat, and Lena's map, marching to the fence where Greg and Tina lurked. "Y'all are trespassing," I roared, voice echoing to the cows. "This ranch ain't in Serenity. Here's the deed, the plat, the county line. Keep coming and I'll sue for harassment." Greg's smirk faded, his comb-over drooping. "You're bluffing. Our authority's clear." Tina waved her clipboard. "We'll patrol daily. Non-compliance means penalties." I held up my phone, showing the barn clip. "This you plotting to steal my land. County, he'll love this." Tina's eyes widened, but Greg snapped. "That's inadmissible." They retreated to their SUV tires, spitting gravel. I called Lena's lawyer friend, Amos Reed, 50s, a property rights shark. "Wyatt, this is classic HOA overreach," he said, voice gravelly. "Get a survey statements from your hands and that footage. We'll bury them." I stood by my gate, camera rolling, Javier prepping the tractor. Greg and Tina thought they'd heard me out, but my ranch was my roots, and their fake badges were about to snap. "Y'all Serenity's HOA posse's shaking, and I'm loading my sling. Smash that like if you've faced HOA goons. Drop your town in the comments where you watching this video. Let's see this fire spread." Serenity Estates HOA cops thought they'd corral me with daily patrols and a $400 or $500 fine stack for my stinky cows. But Wyatt Cole's faced meaner bulls on this ranch. Greg Vance and Tina Morse with their clipboards and fake badges were back, harassing my farmhands. And eyeing my 50-acre spread for condos, my barn camera caught their land grab whispers, and my 1920 deed proved. Cole Ranch ain't in their HOA. I stood by my hay bales boots, gritty Serenity's McMansions sparkling across the fence. Their new trick banning my tractor paths was a kick in the spurs. But my social media salvo was about to make their HOA squeal louder than my goats. The sun was high when Javier Ruiz, my wiry farmhand, flagged me down by the barn, his tan face tight. "Boss, those suits are at it again," he said, pointing to the pasture. "Told me I can't drive the tractor on the West Trail. Says it's disturbing." Serenity folks, Javier. 20's tough as a fence post was rattled. The West Trail's my lifeline for moving hay to the cattle pens. I grabbed my deed and county plat, stomping to the trail where Greg and Tina loomed. Greg's paunch puffing his suit, Tina's ponytail swinging like a whip. "Mr. Cole," Greg barked, "comb over, flapping your tractor's band here. Visual and noise pollution. Add $750 to your fines." Tina, clutching her clipboard, smirked. "Your barn's fence is non-compliant too. Fix it or we'll seize assets." "Seize," I roared, waving the plat. "This trail's on my land, 100 feet from your line. My deed's older than your subdivision." Greg sneered. "Our bylaws cover adjacent disturbances. Your tractor's an eyesore." I tried, reasoning. "Hay don't move itself." But Tina cut in. "Pay or we'll restrict more paths. Restrict my ranch. I'd sooner herd hogs through their pool." I called Amos Reed, my lawyer at dusk. "Wyatt, they're testing you," he growled, voice like gravel. "Their map's fraudulent overlaps. Your west pasture. Get a land survey. Javier's statement and post that footage online." Hit their wallet. Amos emailed Serenity's bylaws fines only apply to members. My ranch, free as a Mustang. I checked my barn. Camera. New clip. Greg, snapping trail photos. Tina, muttering, "This'd be a great lot once he's gone." Lot. My blood boiled. Next morning, Greg and Tina were back harassing Miguel, my 19-year-old hand. "Quit or you're fined," Tina snapped, ignoring his green card. Javier pulled Miguel aside. But I was done. I grabbed my phone, posting the barn clips on X, captioning, "Serenity Estates HOA. Trespassing on my ranch, fining non-members eyeing my land. Scam." I shared the $4,500 fine letter, my deed, and a pic of Betsy the cow, adding, "Leave my herd alone." By noon, 1,000 views. 500 reposts. Locals were livid. I rallied Javier and Miguel at the barn, their boots scuffing hay. "They're scaring buyers," Javier said. "Serenity's still selling lots. Your posts are spooking them." I grinned. Checking X, a local news site, picked up my story. HOA harasses rancher. Outside jurisdiction, Serenity's property values dipped 5% per a realtor friend. Homeowners were fuming, refusing HOA dues over the cop fiasco. My camera caught Greg's SUV circling my gate at night, Tina's ponytail, a shadow. I called Lena Holt, my county clerk cousin. "Wyatt Serenity's board's panicking," she said. "Your posts are tanking their sales." "Keep pushing. Get that survey." Lena sent a 2022 HOA map. My West Trail was falsely labeled Serenity Easement Fraud, plain as day. Amos texted, "Surveys booked. Get statements from neighbors, any HOA run-ins." I nodded. Thinking of Old Man Carter, fined for his messy orchard outside Serenity's line, I stood by my tractor deed in pocket camera rolling. Greg and Tina thought they'd fence me in, but my ex-posts were a stampede, and their HOA was about to buckle. Serenity's next swing was coming. But my ranch was my blood, and I was ready to charge. Serenity Estates HOA was reeling like a spooked heifer after my ex-posts hit 10,000 views, exposing their cops. fining my ranch for mooing cows and tractor trails. Greg Vance and Tina Morse with their fake badges and $5, $250 fine stack thought they'd fence in Wyatt Cole. But my 1920 deed and barn camera proved. Cole Ranch ain't their turf. My social media stampede tanked their property values, and homeowners were skipping dues, smelling fraud. I stood by my red barn boots, crusted Serenity's McMansions dim across the fence. Their board sent a new face to beg for peace. But I had a land survey, a lawyer, and a grudge, sharper than barbed wire. At dawn, Javier Ruiz, my wiry farmhand, leaned on a fence post, his tan face grim. "Boss Serenity's board's freaking," he said, scrolling X. "Homeowners are raging. Say, Greg and Tina trashed their exclusive vibe." Javier, 20s, tough as nails, grinned at my latest post, a clip of Tina sneering about condo lots on my land captioned, "HOA wants my ranch. Not for sale." It had 3,000 reposts, locals calling Serenity a scam estate. I checked my mailbox new. Fine. $1,000 for non-compliant fencing. Non-compliant. My fence was older than Greg's comb-over. I called Amos Reed, my lawyer, Wyatt. "Their board's cracking." He growled. "Your survey's in, confirms your ranch is clear. Their 2022 map's a lie, claiming your west pasture posted." Amos emailed the survey. My 50 acres were pristine. Serenity's easement. Pure fiction. I posted it on X, tagging the county Serenity's stealing land. HOA fraud views. Hit 15,000 by noon. That afternoon, a Prius rolled up, not Greg's SUV. Clara Dunn, 50s, plump with a tight bun and nervous smile, stepped out, her floral dress clashing with my dusty corral. "Mr. Cole," she said, voice shaky. "I'm Serenity's new treasurer. The board wants to talk." Clear the air. I crossed my arms, eyeing her. "Talk after your goons threatened my hands and fined my cows." Clara fidgeted, glancing at Javier, who smirked. "Greg and Tina overstepped," she said. "We're reviewing their actions. Can we meet at our community center? No fines, just discussion." I smelled a trap, but agreed. Grabbing my survey deed and camera clips, Lena Holt, my county clerk cousin, texted, "Watch Clara. She's loyal to the old board, but scared of lawsuits." Serenity's community center was a tacky palace. Marble floors, fake chandeliers. 30 homeowners packed the room, some nodding at me, others glaring. Greg and Tina sat up front, Greg's paunch sagging, Tina's clipboard idle. Clara took the podium, her bun wobbling. "We've heard concerns about enforcement," she said, avoiding my eyes. "Mr. Cole, we propose dropping your fines if you limit tractor use and mitigate livestock noise." I stood boots loud on the marble. "Limit my ranch. I'm not in your HOA. Here's the 1920 plat, 2023 survey, your own bylaws. You've got no jurisdiction." I held up the survey showing their fake easement. "Your cops trespassed, harassed my hands, plotted to steal my land for condos." I played the barn clip on my phone, Tina's voice echoing. "Prime lot, once he's gone." The room erupted. Homeowners shouting, "You're fining non-members. What's this land grab?" Greg's comb-over flopped, his face red. "That's edited," Tina snapped. Clara cut in. "We'll investigate." Homeowners weren't buying it. Half stormed out, vowing to skip dues. Javier live streaming on X hit 20,000 views. A neighbor. Old Man Carter, 70s grizzled, stood. "They find my orchard, outside their line. I'm with Wyatt." Clara's smile cracked, her bun drooping. I leaned in, voice low. "Clara, your board's got bigger problems. County's reviewing your map fraud. My lawyer's ready." She paled, stammering, "We'll reconsider enforcement." Greg and Tina bolted their SUV, peeling out. Javier whispered, "Boss X is blowing up, realtors say. Serenity's sales are dead." Amos texted, "HOA's old board's meeting tomorrow." Push harder. I stood by my gate, survey in hand. Cows mooing. Serenity's board was buckling, but their next play lawsuit or surrender was coming, and I was loaded for bear. Serenity Estates' HOA was crumbling like a dry biscuit after my ex-posts hit 50,000 views, exposing their fake cops, fining my ranch for mooing cows and tractor trails. Greg Vance and Tina Morse with their $6, $250 fine pile got booted when homeowners revolted. Clara Dunn's truce, flopping at their tacky community center, my 1920 deed land. Survey and barn camera proved Cole Ranch ain't their turf, and Serenity's property values tanked. I stood by my red barn boots. Dusty Serenity's McMansions dull across the fence. Their new board was begging to settle my lawsuit. But Wyatt Cole, don't back down, my ranch was my blood, and I was ready to brand their defeat. At dawn, Javier Ruiz, my wiry farmhand, grinned by the corral, his tan face lit. Boss Serenity's board caved, he said, showing X. They're offering a deal money. Apology, no more cops. Javier, 20s, tough as a longhorn, had stuck by me, even when Tina threatened his job. My posts with clips of Greg plotting condo lots had sparked a homeowner dues strike, and local news ran headlines. Rancher exposes HOA fraud. Serenity's sales were dead. Per my realtor pal, I called Amos Reed, my lawyer, at breakfast. Wyatt? They're scared, he growled. Your survey and footage are airtight. Counties probing their map fraud. They'll settle $10,000 for stress legal fees covered, public apology, and a filed admission. Your ranch owes nothing. Amos emailed their offer signed by Clara Dunn, now interim president, Lena Holt. My county clerk cousin texted, old board's gone. Greg and Tina fired Clara's, desperate to save face. The settlement meeting was set at my ranch, not their glitzy center. 50 folks, Serenity homeowners, neighbors like Old Man Carter, gathered by my barn. Betsy, the cow chewing nearby. Clara arrived 50s plump, her floral dress wilted tight bun fraying. Mr. Cole, she said, voice quivering. Serenity Estates apologizes for the enforcement errors. Your fines were a mistake. You're not in our HOA. She handed me a county-filed letter, voiding all fines, and a $10,000 check. We've disbanded our patrol unit. I crossed my arms. Boots. Firm. Errors. Greg and Tina trespassed, harassed my hands, faked your map to steal my land. I held up the 2022 map, its easement debunked by my survey. You plotted condos here. Homeowners gasped, some, nodding, others, snapping photos. Javier live-streamed on X 30,000 views. Carter 70s grizzled yelled, they find my orchard too. Clara flinched, stammering. We're correcting all non-member fines. Amos stepped up, voice like thunder. Serenity's map, frauds with the DA. Your old board's facing charges. Clara's bun sagged her smile. Gone, a homeowner. A young mom stood. We're voting out the HOA's bylaws. Too much greed. Cheers erupted. Serenity and ranch folks mingling. Clara shuffled off her Prius. Crawling away, Greg and Tina, word was they'd left town, their SUV spotted at a U-Haul lot. Weeks later, Serenity's new board sent a plaque for my gate. Cole Ranch free and clear neighbor to Serenity. Javier and Miguel rebuilt the West Trail fence. Stronger. No fines. At a barbecue. Carter brought cider. Serenity. Folks swapped stories with ranch hands. Kids petting Mabel, the goat. Lena dropped by grinning. Counties redrawing. Serenity's map. Your pasture's safe. My camera still rolling caught the sunset cows grazing. No. HOA goons in sight. Serenity's still got holdouts. Some miss. The old board's iron fist. But my ranch, once their nuisance, stands proud, hay bales high. I walk the West Trail at dusk, tractor humming, community whole. Greg's badges rust in a landfill. Don't let HOA bullies fence you in. Check your deed, grab a survey, and fight loud. My ranch stood because I dug for truth and rallied neighbors. Power's only real if you let it be. Ranchers, farmers, or suburbanites know your land. Raise your voice and don't back down. Serenity learned mess with a Cole. You get the herd, y'all. Serenity's HOA's dust, my ranch is free. Smash that. Like if you've crushed a Karen or HOA scam, drop your town in the comments where you watching this video. Got a bully story share from Texas or Timbuktu? Let's see this victory gallop.